Hey crafters, this is Paulette. It is time for May's name tags. I've already stamped my little girls in the Stays On ink. I really like to use the Ranger Archival ink, but my ink pad's getting a bit low for images that have all of this surface area. So I went ahead and did this. I've re-inked my pad and didn't get such a great impression, but it'll be fine. Once we color it, it will be fine. This other little image from Penny Black would have been sweet as well. The one with the gardening girl is called Garden Assistant. This one is called Fluffy Passenger, and you can see the little dog and the little girl would have fit on here just perfectly. All of my Mother's Day stamps are too big for my card. They're either too wide or they're too tall this way. So I'm going to do my own thing. And I'm going to use an alphabet stamp. And I'm going to pull a couple of M's off here because we're going to spell Mom. Now, this is Sophie Alphas, and it's from the Paper Studio. It does have some sweet little images that I could put between the M's for the O, like these hearts. Would be really cute. There is a flower here, but I just felt like it was kind of big. So I chose a flower from another stamp set. So let's line our M's up here. There's just enough space to spell Mom. And I'll tell you where I got this idea is I am signed up for email from all of my favorite companies, Stampin' Up, Sizzix, Joann's, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, and some of the advertisements from them, they had Mom with all kind of things in the center. Flowers, hearts, just fun things. So we're going to stamp the M's in some Stampin' Up! Old Olive, just to represent some greenery or grass. And the little flower image that I chose is from Paper Tray Ink's Garden Variety 2. It's this really cute set here, and we're going to use this little, it's a sunflower or a daisy type image. And I'm going to grab another ink block maybe. And I'm going to stamp that in some Stampin' Up! Tempting Turquoise. Just right between the M's. Which I thought was so fun and cute considering we have the watering can. I'm going to grab some colors here. A light blue, a dark blue. We need our skin tone. I'm going to use this peachy color. A gold. And we need a good green. So a good green. We're going to do the hat and the dress in an orange and a red. There's the red. And this very vibrant orange. So we're going to start with the hat and the dress. And I'm going to pull my paper towel up here. And the aqua painter. So I'm just going to put down a little bit of color. And then dilute. Now if you get outside the lines, like I did underneath the hat right here, you can just wipe it away push it towards the image, push it back onto the image, or wipe it away. It's a little bit easier to push it back onto the image. Now I'm going to let that dry a little bit. Some of that's leaking down into her face, and I will fix that before we do her face. So let's go along and do this other hat. And I got outside this one a little bit too, but that's the cool thing about stamping on watercolor paper. Okay. That's coming on down. Let's just go ahead and... Now if you have clean paper towel, you can get in there with your clean paper towel and pick that up too. Alright, that's pretty good. Let's go on to the dress. Now I'm just kind of doing the leading edges of the sleeve and the front of the dress, then the back edge, and then this hemline. And then because this dress looks like it's billowing in the breeze, I'm just going to draw in a little bit there, and it's so dry here in my craft studio now that we finally hit summer that I'm going to do one at a time. And I am not going all the way in that ink, kind of between it, just to catch the edges of it and dilute it a little bit. I still want that bold outline to stay. Same thing on this dress. And if you feel like you're getting too much color, just wipe it off on your paper towel. Now, I didn't do a very good job getting right up to the line, so I am going to pull that right up to the edge of the dress. The Tim Holtz markers would work great for this. The Marvy markers work a little bit. They're pretty strong. I have the 50-piece Crayola washable kids markers. I bought them just as an experiment to see if my hands would like coloring with a marker before I invested in any real art markers. And I think that I would. You know, I have discovered and shared that I've discovered in some other videos that I would really enjoy coloring with some Copics. I'm going to take this light blue and do parts of the can. Let's do the handle. I'm not going to dilute the handle, it's such a small area. Now it doesn't really matter what this light blue does because we're going to come back and accent it with some dark blue. Let's go ahead and do the gloves. I've got just a nice medium green. Outlining and a little bit heavier, like where the knuckles would be. Let's go ahead and do the hair. I did not pull the color for the hair. This very nice kind of golden brown. And then I'm going to dilute it just a little bit. Okay, let's go back to the hat and the dress. I'm going to accent with just a little bit of red. Now, not coloring heavily on the hat anyway because it's a small area, but just barely touching the cardstock. And then I'll do a little heavier on the dress when we get to the dress. My brush is dried out, so I'm going to run a little water through it. And it's just going to make that orange pop a little bit, give it a little bit of depth. And kind of a light touch, more using the tip than that broad side. I don't think I did the very back edge there. And again, just kind of going between. I don't want to dilute it all the way, just a little bit. So just catching the edges of the ink and dilute it out a little bit. And I've got a little bit of red down here. I'm not sure how that happens, so I'm just going to, and some right there, wipe it off. Okay. Now let's come in with our dark blue for the watering can. And I'm just going to put a couple little dots along the spout and then just a couple marks where I think the darker would be. Just dilute that out a little bit. Cool thing about working on the watercolor paper is you can just keep adding or taking away until it's to a place that you really like it. Take a little bit more off of that one. Okay, let's go ahead and do the skin tone. The Crayola washable markers. There are so many markers and color variations. You could get any skin tone that you need. I'm using this very peachy one. And you could certainly come back and add cheeks if you want. I chose not to do cheeks on this particular one. I thought I had too much red and peachy stuff going on in my dress, but it probably would have been okay. If you need to add other colors, just come back and let that, let that first application dry, and then you can come back and keep adding. The last thing we're going to do is add a little bit of yellow to the hair and the spout of the can. I'm not going to dilute this because it's such a small area on the can. And I'm not going to dilute it on the hair either. It's just going to add some depth and some volume to the hair. You could probably even do that with colored pencils if you wanted to. And I forgot to add water to my water drops, so let's do that, and then I think we're done. Now, I usually add the month, but I just felt like I didn't have enough room, and I didn't want to do anything to hinder this. Typically, I stamp it on the bottom, but I didn't want it to compete with Mom. I could have put it right here, but I didn't want it to compete with the dress either, so I'm leaving it off. I will stamp the back of these with my Paulette stamp that has the date on it. And everybody knows that Mom's Mother's Day is in May, so I don't think it will be confusing. So as usual, if you have any questions, be sure and let me know.